They just start and you'll start figuring it out. Mm-hmm. So just start. Treat the business funds like toothpaste. Because when people get toothpaste, the first time they get it, it looks full and they just squeeze out like a whole just big slug
Just
onto the
cover
thing.
the whole brush, yeah.
And then as they get towards the end, then they're like squeezing up. All right, just that little bit. Should be doing that from the start.
Yeah.
It'll last longer. If anyone's getting close to quitting, just can you do an extra week? If you're thinking, all right, if you're ready to pack up now, what's an extra week? Just do an extra week, or do an extra month. Just keep going. It's the consistency. It's the numbers game. It usually takes just staying in it to win it.
Anarchy! I don't even know what that means, but I love it!
Let's go. What's up, guys? We're listening to Before the Money. Thank you all for joining me again. I'm pumped to be bringing another awesome episode to you. Now, before we drop some value bombs on you, can you please find that subscribe button? This show has grown organically, so I really need your help to get this message to as many ears as possible. Find that subscribe button, and when you do capture those value bombs in today's episode, don't be afraid to leave a 5-star review as well. Anything you can do, share it to your story. It really does mean a lot. So I'm joined by... He's a little bit of a fashion icon. He's a musician. He's all round like creative kind of person. And when he walked into the studio today, like I couldn't help myself but comment on his drip, because honestly, he is dressed to the nines, and it does make sense because he is the founder and creative director of Statement Jewelry. And he just let me in a little bit of a secret that this year they're going to be ticking over 7 figures. And this is his first venture in business, all right? So if you haven't checked out Statement, go and do so. I am joined by Dan Lowry. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, dude. And thank you for dressing up for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, got to be on camera, so
you got to be on camera.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you got to be the best product demonstration for your business as well, don't you?
Well, that's the thing, man. It's like when you're making a brand or making music, you kind of want stuff you're going to wear, stuff you're going to listen to. So that's pretty much how it started for me anyway.
Yeah, I get that, man. I ran a fashion label for like 7 years, and it was the same thing for me. Like I was really struggling to find pieces that I loved within my price range because I started it when I was in high school, right? And so I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to spend way more making it myself.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
So let's talk about Statement. Obviously, you've gotten some traction now, man. Like, what kind of position are you guys in at the moment? Like, talk us through that. You said you've got a small team. You're with a business partner. Talk us through where you guys are at right now, and we'll head backwards. Yeah,
so we're in a good spot now. I kind of feel like we're about 4 years into business now. So we started in 2018. So now we've, it's not our first rodeo. We've done a few sales. We've gone through a few Black Fridays and lots of product launches. So we're starting to really fine tune the process on what we're doing. I've developed my role. I know what my responsibilities are. Patrick, my business partner, he's just really dialing in on what he looks after. And earlier this year in March, we added our first team member. His name's Jack. He's an absolute legend. Yep. Yeah. He's a 6'4" gridiron playing Viking. Who's also very switched on. He understands and learns quickly. So he's been a great addition to the team. He's been mostly my assistant up until now. So he comes over, works in my office, and we just plot what can help grow the business and what I'm sort of failing at and am not able to manage, because you got to wear a lot of hats. So I've been able to delegate quite a bit to him, and he's just taken over certain programs and really grown them, like general outreach to influencers and content creators, things that are really hard to do when you're also doing customer service. There's only so many DM conversations you can have in one day and emails you can send. Otherwise, you're just sitting there just typing, thumbs, fingers
It's
all
hard
day.
to transition as well between the different roles when you're in the business, especially when you're, a creative designer within the business. When you're in there designing, you're in flow. I find that when you got to go step out of that space and do admin tasks, it really ruins that kind of
The
magic
momentum.
that you're in,
Yeah.
in huge ways. So do you find that has helped with having a business partner? Because that's something I've toyed with for a little while.
Yeah, 100%. There are so many times, and it's 24 hours a day when it comes to emails and customer service. And if I'm on a roll, editing product photos, editing a new ad video, designing a product, and then you just get a DM, Shopify inbox, email come through. People will send you messages through Google Maps. We had a message on Google Maps, and it's just like it pulls you out of the headspace that you're in. It's one of those. It's a waste of time for a business owner to be doing that, and there's always a crossover period and a pain point where you will handle it yourself up until the point that it becomes too much, and then usually that point that it becomes too much will drag on for a little bit until you've like identified it and then realize, all right, I need to delegate this. Can I? But so like just this morning I woke up and then I tap off the sleep mode on my phone, boom, all the emails come up, and it's just like question after question, and I'll be laying there half asleep, one eye closed, writing back to someone. And it's usually giving them information that is already available on the website. So it can be quite frustrating. But there'll be times when I'll see something as I'm falling asleep. I'll wake up and Pat's already responded to it. Or he'll go in to reply to someone and he can already see in Gmail there's a draft and he can see that I'm typing to them. So we don't have like a specific, you speak to this person, you do it on this day. It's just like teamwork. He'll just hit back one, I'll hit back another. If it's something specific to what he does, which is the packing and sending of the orders, if someone says, I was missing this item, or could you put this in it? I'll be like, bro, this is your realm. Can you hit this person back? But if it's someone just asking a question about like what size should I get, I'm going to handle that. Yeah.
Did you find it like difficult to like delegate in the beginning? Because I think, as a business owner, it's your baby, right? Like, especially in the creative realm, like we hold so close to the things that we create. So how did you find, delegating? How did you actually, probably a more relevant question is why Pat?
Yeah. Like, why Pat would be, he was around in the friend group at that time, and he was doing businesses with other friends of mine at that time, and they advocated for him and brought him in. And it was like, it wasn't until I gave him some responsibility that he actually like sort of found his footing within the business, and really got to see him take some autonomy, responsibility, and like ownership of those tasks. And I had sort of like got an inkling for it before. Because, I mean, even he'll attest that in the early days, he didn't have the expertise on jewelry, fashion. He could build the websites. And then if we had like a technical thing that we would say to him, like, all right, we need to create this bundle on the website. He'd be like, oh, yeah, sweet, I'll do that. But that wasn't like a daily type thing. So I was posting on the Instagram, taking the photos, talking to the customers, doing like the creative side, designing the products, talking to suppliers, buying materials, all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't like I'd be to him, can you go out and buy this? Because I'd be like, I'll just do it. Like I would not want to
spend just as much time explaining it.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to hand over some task that was like almost disrespectful to give someone at that point in time. So I'm like, I'll wait till find out something that's more suited. And I know for him, he sort of didn't know where he fit in aside from those kind of things. And then I think it was when we got all of the stock in, when we first produced our range of jewelry with a factory instead of just me making it in the bedroom. And then I was like, you handle the fulfillment and the stock management and just packing and sending the orders, and then I can do more of the creative thing and just drive the business. And then he just took it and just ran with it.
Yeah.
And then there'll just be things like, all right, I'm doing this release on this day, we need this done, and then I wouldn't have to follow up with him at all 4 days before it would need to be done. All right, you get a message, like just the absolute golden message that you could get from someone. Hey bro, can you just check over this? I'm already finished it now. I've got a couple more improvements to do. If there's anything you want done differently, and then you check it and it's perfect. And then just that just builds trust. And so him and I have a lot of trust between each other. He knows that he can, if he's ever like got too much on, he can send me a message and say, can you do this? Because, and I know that if he's going to actually ask the question and say, can you do this? And it's normally one of his tasks, I know he's already tapped out with what he's doing. So I'm like, yep, I got it. So yeah.
How good's that feeling as well? Like as a business owner, you're wearing all the hats. And then I did a similar kind of thing with this podcast when I started to build a team to help manage it. Just being able to focus on the parts of the business that your genius lays in, and knowing that other parts are taken care of by people that you trust. Yeah. That's when it really starts to feel like a business machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than just something that's been driven by your own grit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it can be, you can get so far on your own grit. At 80% on everything. And you will learn a lot of things that you didn't know before, and you'll become proficient and competent in them. And it's impressive. And you can easily take that as ego and be like, look at all these things that I'm doing. But then self-awareness is huge.
Yeah.
You got to be self-aware enough to go, all right, these tasks here, I'm managing all of them, but it's taking me an extra 2 to 3 weeks because I'm trying to do, 15 things at once. And so I'm not able to be as consistent with all of them. So I need someone else to come in and take it over so I can half my tasks and then get them done in more consistency. Because consistency is one of the most important things. If you are doing all these things and getting them done, but you're not able to get, let's say in a 1 year period, if you can only do it X amount of times because you're doing all of those, and if you could double that by doubling the person, then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, because there are certain tasks within the business that really move the needle. Everything else is just management. So if you were to say, I'm going to put you in a hard situation here, if there's only one task or action within the business that you can do, only one, and everything else has to be outsourced, what would that be for you?
Well, it'd have to be product design, because at the moment that's what's really what sets the brand apart is the products that we do. So at this stage, even though if I could hire someone who was a better designer than me, I actually would, because I don't know how to do the 3D CADs yet. I just do sketches and then get someone else to do the CADs. Like the suppliers are very good at just taking ideas and then forming the mold. So I probably would, if I was to say right now, if I could just build a team, yeah, I would employ a graphic designer and all that. But right now, the number one most ROI positive thing that I do is the content. It's photography, it's videography, it's all of that. It keeps the visuals of the brand constantly on all platforms and enables us to run ads. So that's probably that's got to be the biggest job that I do, is taking the product photos, the modeled photos, shooting ad videos, styled product photos, all of that stuff. It's so that we can be on the internet in every platform that we can. It's like we pump out so many pieces of content on even Pinterest. Yeah. It's like that's where I'm at. If there's any channel that can be done, just do all of them as often as possible, post as often as possible, and you've got to have a bank of content ready to go. So that's and I am a photographer. That's what I was doing when I started the brand. I was doing freelance photography, so that's one of the skills that I brought to it. But it saves us a lot of money having me do it. If you like, I don't even know what I would charge as a photographer if someone sent me all this jewelry and said, I want 50 pieces of content. I'd be like, well, all right, are you prepared to pay for that? Otherwise they're all going to be in just one set. if you want varied content. So that's been a big leg up. So that's one thing that I'll hold on to and keep doing for a long time.
Yeah, is that, and you also get to have like clear control of the brand image as well. You know, no one understands the vision like you, especially because we can do our best to articulate it. But like you were saying before, you know, we got started, when you're talking to your business partner, it can be sometimes difficult to convey why just a small change in design is so different, or while that really sets your particular brand apart.
Yeah.
You know, so talk us through the process of starting. Why this style? How did it come about? Like, why jewelry? Like, let's go through the beginning of it.
Yeah, so like I was telling you before, this is my first business. So I think it was like, before that, my sort of like hobby, I was just posting fashion content on Instagram, and I'd started to wear a bit more jewelry myself. I was buying from other brands. And before that, I sort of like wouldn't have a clear like accessorizing style. And then when I started to like click onto that, I was like, oh, okay, no, this really can take an outfit in a different direction. You can just take like plain t-shirt, jeans, and a jacket, and depending on your jewelry style can really give you a completely different look. And that was one of the key stories of the brand in the beginning. And then there was like an industrial style around that time, like padlock necklaces, machine like chain links. So I'd just go out and buy all that stuff myself, and just bought a few pieces of tools and was just making like wallet chains for myself and necklaces and bracelets. I posted it on some streetwear Facebook group and just said, you know, rate my accessories or whatever. It was just like a small community of like sneakerheads and all that. And someone reached out and said, oh, can you make me one?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
So you got a proof of concept straight up.
Yeah. Posted some on my Instagram. Someone else reached out and said, can you make me one? And then I was having a lunch with some mates one day, and someone was like, oh, if we were going to do a business together, what would you do? I was like, jewelry, accessories, hands down. Like, I'm starting to see the trend. Like, if I'm noticing myself wearing it more, and I'm starting to see it like creep up more and more often, like I already know that it's a thing. And I think it's going to be a big industry. And if I already enjoy it and I want to make jewelry that I'll wear, then like I just know it's going to go good. And so that's when they were like, all right, Pat, you want to build the website? And then so we made a website in like, it took us maybe like 2 months to get some stuff together. Like, this was more products and content. Website was done in like 3 days. Launched it, posted on my Instagram, got like 15 orders on the first day. Wow. And I was like, whoa, that's huge. It was cool. It was like people, and I'd had also at that time, because I was like a bit worried that the stuff that I was making was like a little bit too rough. We'd bought some like wholesale rings and stuff. I couldn't mold and make rings myself. So I was like, all right, we need to pad the range out. So we'll get some like other stuff to go in and like legitimize it a little bit more. And everyone was just buying the stuff that I designed. And then so that gave me a really good like wind in my sails to just trust myself and just know that that what I was doing was going to be the way to go. So then I just doubled down on that look, and then it just went from there. Yeah, just like all organic, just posted on Instagram just constantly, just every single day, and just posted as if we were already a brand. Like, all right, this is out for release, guys. I know everyone's been wanting to get their hands on this.
Get it before it's gone.
Yeah, just like, don't be like, we're an up and coming brand. Yeah. You know, big things to come. Just be there. Just be confident. Just, if people like it, they'll get it. And then it was just like, it was very much just like build it from virtually nothing, because I was even telling someone on the weekend, we had to wait till we had like $350 spare to go, all right, well, let's put some of this into an ad, like into ads, and boosted a post for $5 a day for 4 days, and then be like, oh shit, it didn't really make that much money, turn it off, wait, save up some more. It was like a slot machine, just trying to put some, hoping to like crack a win. Otherwise, if the money gets down too low, it'd be like, oh, pull it back, or pull it back. And there was like first time that we could just let it run for an entire month, we were like, oh, wow. And then it's just been a very slow growth. Like I didn't know shit about e-commerce and about marketing or any of this. So I've had to learn everything the hard way, just learn it from the very beginning. And I've seen other brands where, you know, it's a influencer partners with a like brand growth specialist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, imagine if we had that knowledge at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like we didn't start SEO until last year, and my SEO guy was like, you have 3 keywords on your website. I'm like, what does that mean?
What's a keyword?
Yeah, like, what do you mean? We've got heaps of text on the website. It's like, no, how do I explain this to you? And then, so yeah, like we really just didn't know any of that stuff. Conversion rate optimization, putting all of the information, shipping tiers, reviews, all of the things that convert well, user-generated content, or just all of these strategies, email marketing. We didn't do email marketing. And then when I started doing email marketing, I was like using the photos that I took, and I'd be exporting the photos in the full resolution and then putting that in email because I'm like, oh, I'm putting out the best, like highest quality image. Little did I know I'm putting a 7 megabyte photo in an email that's not going to load in time before the person clicks off the email. All that shit that you've just got to learn. And then, yeah, we're just lucky that the email thing was like, once I took that on, started to learn more about that, then it's like, well, here's a new job that I didn't think that I would have when I started a brand. Now I'm doing like fucking graphic design. I'm not a graphic designer, but now I'm in Photoshop trying to align text up and use different fonts and align it in one way and design a whole email that's about this long and vertical and blend the text in, put product blocks in there. But once I started to see the like the ROI on emails, that's my new job. I'm doing that every week. So let's add that one to the list on top of all the other shit. So yeah, you definitely take a lot. And now I've got an email guy. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah, but it takes you learning what you need to do so that you know what to outsource.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what I'm hearing throughout that whole journey. It's like the entrepreneurial journey or building a business is just like walking up steps. You know, you take 1 foot at a time, and then all of a sudden you're at the top of the staircase looking back down. And one thing that really showed for me in that story is like whether you were conscious of it or not, you did lots of really practical business things early on. You know, you were conservative with money. You put it in areas that, you know, you did a little bit of trialing here. If it didn't bring in an ROI, all right, how can we better use this money?
Yeah.
You also got a minimum viable product and you tested it in the marketplace. Whereas like lots of business owners early on, especially me, I invested heaps of money into product before testing if I had anywhere to sell it.
Yeah.
You know, so you've done lots of things that probably unconsciously were very smart decisions early on and built great habits.
Yeah.
You know, and that's probably a big reason why you've been able to stay consistent and you're still in the game. Like you say, it's slow growth for 4 years, but to be in the position of where you are now after 4 years is fucking rapid growth. Like you were saying, you're on track to double sales from last year.
Yeah.
Like,
and the year before that was a double.
That's wicked, dude. That's like wicked. And you have to like take stock, you know, as a business owner and sit and appreciate, you know, what you've done.
Yeah, no, I'm very grateful. It's just like the hard work. It's a snowball. You got to build momentum. And then once that momentum picks up steam, then it's like, it will just keep, there's like an inflection point. It'll be like this, you'll be testing, you're trying to, like I said, move the needle. And then sometimes it's just like, it feels like it's going and then it pulls back and then you're ready for that growth the whole time. So you're ready to go harder and either spend more or whatever, but then you've got to wait and really see that lift is there, because if you go too big, too early, you can go home. So yeah, it's just been like testing the waters, waiting for it to go. And then it's just started to pick up. And then, yeah, so I'm very, very happy with that.
So where are you guys heading now? What's next for you guys? Yo, so I just checked our statistics, right? It's not something I do very often, but I was blown away. Our subscriber base has exploded over the last few months. So I want to thank all of you who have clicked that subscribe button. You show up to the episodes every single week. You support, you participate, and you take action for yourself. And for all of you who haven't subscribed yet, you want to be part of the club, go ahead and locate that button on whatever platform you're listening to this on. The subscribe button is usually pretty bright. If you want to be notified every time we drop a valuable episode, and while you're on a roll, why don't you go ahead and leave behind a 5-star rating? Let us know we're producing value, because we're going to continue showing up and doing our thing every single week, bringing on high value guests and sharing unordinary stories of how they got there. So if you're an action taker and you don't want to miss out on an opportunity to gain valuable knowledge that's going to propel you towards your success, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and let's get stuck back into this episode.
Well, we're still in that growth phase.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of just acquiring more customers, growing, building the team, and then just getting, like, we still run it from a garage. Mm-hmm. Like, I still work from home. There's only 3 of us. So it's just, it's very much a small operation. That's what I was going to say. You said something that, that gave me a thought, is about like being frugal with money and not spending too much. And that was like the patience thing was very big for me. I said, we need a long-term strategy that's not going to put pressure on when this thing kicks off, because, you know, if it'll adjust your expectations if you have a need or an expectation for it to happen earlier.
Yeah.
And you can't be impatient with it. So like I said to the guys, when we started, I don't know when we're going to be able to draw a wage. So we all still need to be sorting our finances out on the side and then still investing time into this to grow it. And just know that when we can dip in and take some money and pay ourselves, it'll be the point that that it's not too early. So I wasn't a photographer until we started the brand. I didn't own a camera.
Really?
Yeah. So I just left a sales job, and so that job sort of shut down, and so I was living off my savings for a while, and I'd started the brand about maybe like 2 months before it, and so I started the brand 2 months before this job ended. I kind of felt like that was a universal push to like, right, now you don't have this job, but you did start a business. So I was like, all right, I'll go hard on this, and I'm like, but I need some money, like I need to get some income. So I bought a camera to take the product photos, and I was like, well, I've got a camera here and I know how to get customers and do sales and convince people to get me to do something for them. So I'll just do photography. It's like you can turn up, do an hour, leave, get paid, just send them the photos. So that's how I funded to keep my bills paid. And I still do photography now. And I didn't take any kind of pay until maybe like mid last year. And we even took it was like $150 to pay rent. And then still like our spending money was from the other thing. Like I said, we got to take the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Just like put as little pressure on the business as possible. Let it grow and grow and grow. And then each time we've done a pay bump, it's just like $50, maybe $100 a week, just like very minimal. Just so that it has the most chance for success.
Yeah, got to keep the oxygen in the business.
Yeah, cash is oxygen.
Yeah.
There's a good analogy that I saw someone say. It's like, treat the business funds like toothpaste. Because when people get toothpaste, the first time they get it, it looks full and they just squeeze out like a whole just big slug onto the thing.
Cover the whole brush, yeah.
And then as they get towards the end, then they're like squeezing it up. All right, just that little bit. Should be doing that from the start.
Yeah.
It'll last longer. And don't just take for granted and be like, oh, look, this is never going to end. We can spend. And then all of a sudden when things get tight, you're like, oh, pull it back. Just save yourself. Save yourself the trouble. Just be as responsible as you can from the very beginning. Make it last a lot longer. And then there'll be less stress and pressure on the timing of things. And It's like delayed gratification.
All right, guys, we just took a quick break, and as typical on Before the Money, whenever we go out into Electric Sugar and we have a chat, like the value just keeps on coming. So I had to rush him a little bit. I was like, let's fucking get back in the studio, dude.
Yeah.
You can't be spitting all these gems on us without a mic present. So we're going to jump back to what built you. You know, let's go back to you as a kid in high school. Like, what kind of pivotal moments or mindset shifts and all that kind of stuff can you look back on that really turned you into the man you are today?
Yeah, 100%. I'm keen to get into that, but before we get into the second half, I did bring you a gift today.
You did.
So I wanted to give that to you. We just kept getting into it too much, so
Yeah.
I thought I'd give that to you now.
I did see that sitting over there. I was like, please be for me. Please be for me.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
See, I don't know if you actually have any of our jewelry.
No, I don't. I
thought you might have
actually.
had one of the pendants. It's like a bit pixelated in one of your Instagram photos. So I brought this one for you.
Ooh.
The dagger pendant.
All right, for all you guys who are just listening right now, it is a chain with a wicked dagger on the end of it. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
No worries. That one's significant because that's the first pendant that I hand carved myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's a discount code you could offer our audience?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do we want to drop that in there just to, so you know that anyone come from here is coming to check you guys out, even if it's like 5% or something?
No, I'll do a good one. What should it be? Because I can make it after we do this.
Just call it...
What do we call it? BTM 15.
Bro, you stole the words out of my mouth. Fuck yeah, dude. Thank you. Whew. All right, guys, get your hands on some of this. BTM 15. Go ahead, and I'm guessing that's going to be 15% off.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wicked, dude. All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, man.
No worries.
So, 'cause let's go back to yourself as a little tyke.
Yeah. Bro, it'd be hard to pinpoint exactly when it was. Like, so what I found was there's different things that sort of push you and reveal who you are. And sometimes it takes just being put in a situation where you find that you thrive. As a really young kid, even as I got into high school, I was quite quiet, shy, grew up in a conservative Christian household. And then it was so random because so I did boxing in high school and I started that when I was 14 and no one would have picked it. I wouldn't have even picked it. Like I was in grade 8 when I was 13, I was growing crystals at lunchtime. I was taking this like extracurricular
Growing crystals.
science class. Yeah. I just thought it sounded cool, and I turned up and I was like with all these like full science geeks, and I didn't realize that I was one of them too, in denial. And then it was like I got it was a PlayStation game, Knockout Kings 99.
Yeah.
And so I started playing this boxing game, and then I read the book The Power of One, which is about a kid in South Africa that does boxing. And I just absolutely loved the way that they wrote about it, how they described like the science of the sport and how he's able to like outsmart his opponents. And then I just said to my parents like, "Oh, can I do boxing? Can you find me a boxing gym?" And then so they took me to a boxing gym. I was like the smallest kid there. It was just at a local PCYC in Mackay, very small town. And like after about 6 months of training there, I was getting quite good, and the head trainer was like, "I want you to have a fight." So I had my first amateur boxing fight when I was 14, and I won like unanimously. And then I won like probably the next 4 in a row, and so that really brought out my competitive side. And what I really liked about that is it's a one-on-one sport. So like I'm very much an introvert. I'm not a good team person. Like I never played football. So I'm not good at team sports. I was always attracted to the one-on-one sports. Like I liked tennis, I liked table tennis, and I liked boxing. And so my trainer was always at me you've got to be doing runs in the morning. I can't be there with you all the time. So I'd be waking up at 5:30, we lived on the coast, lived on the beach. So I'd be running on the beach at like 5:30 in the morning. before school when I was like 15. And you have to learn to push through like the cardio wall, and you get to that pain point, and then you get your second wind after a while. Like, it's a really weird thing. You feel like you're declining, and then you just keep pushing and pushing, keep running. You might slow down a little bit, and then the second wind comes, and all of a sudden you're running just as hard as you were before. So you have to really talk yourself through that. And so I really got used to like verbally abusing myself in my mind. Come on, don't be a fucking pussy. Keep running. You know, the other guy's training just as hard. He's training harder. Do you want to win your next fight? What are you going to do? You're going to just like quit now? Someone else is working harder. You need to keep going. And then so that really taught me that mindset. And then I'd go to training and then train just as hard. And they'd bring in older guys to have sparring sessions with me before I'd have a fight. So I had to learn how to get in the ring and just have someone coming at you, and everyone's standing around watching. There's no one in there but the ref, and he's not going to save. He's just moving out of the way. So that was like, it really pushes you to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And just, I remember there was one time that I fought a guy that really outranked me. He had like 115 fights. He'd been the Australian champion several times, and I'd had 6 fights. And we were the main junior event at, it was Blackwater, and he pummeled me. Like, he really outclassed me. But one thing that I was super aware of, the bell went, ran out, touched gloves with him, and I threw the first punch, and his nose bled. I busted his nose up. And my trainer had said, throw a feint left, pull back, and then counter with another left, but arch it a little bit. Because he's got longer limbs than you, he's going to try and counter jab, so you're going to counter. Sure enough, went out, threw the first jab, boom, there comes his long jab, pulled back, went over the top, his head snapped back, came back, had blood on it. From then on, he proceeded to demolish me out of pure spite.
You pissed him off.
But I just was like, had this clicked moment where I was, after his sort of head come back in slow motion, the blood start to trickle down, I was like, I am really relaxed. I'm very comfortable, even though like I should be scared. And then that mindset definitely carried on. I've been like I mean, people don't like when I say it, but like I pick things up really easy. Like, I'm very naturally able to learn things, and I always like can get quite good at things really easily, especially like when it comes to like physical things and sports and competition. And I think it could either be like a natural ability. I don't know if you've ever had mates that just pick things up really well, and everyone's like, fucking hell, he's always good at something. Like, even at a family event, if we're just going to be like, all right, let's play a game of 21 on basketball, I'll end up smashing people, and play a card game, I'll usually end up winning. But I think it's also a mindset thing. It's a hunger and a desire to win. And if that's like a priority for you, and you're like, I just want to be good at this, I want to be the best at it. I don't want to, even when I was doing the sales job, I'd want to be the number one salesperson. I want to be the best. If someone else was having a better day than me, I'd work harder. If someone's like I remember there was one day in particular, because I used to work for commission only. So you would come in Monday, you're not getting paid anything. You could work the whole week and get nothing. If you didn't come in, you get nothing. So it's like every single Monday morning, you're like, have no idea how much you're going to earn. And so you have to make your wage that week, which was exciting because, like I said to you before, just that dopamine hit on just being successful and getting that win and getting a deal would be like, spend time on the phone, chatting through some options. So is that something you're interested in today? Would you like me to go ahead and put that through for you now? Yep. Boom. Got one. Yeah. Hang up the phone. One on the board for me, boys. It's like, all right, let's get the next one. And I think it was like the first week that I'd made like a ridiculous amount of money. It was like for me it was like I'd hit $6,000 in commission. and it was like 4:10 or 4:15 on a Friday, and me and this other guy were going to a this party.
Yeah.
It was like my friends had a business and they were putting on some function. It was going to be a big night, and he's like, "Oh, why don't we head off now, get a couple of drinks, and go there?" And I was like, "Yeah, we could. It's going to be a good night." It's not 5, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, "But we can leave whenever we want." I'm like, yeah. Well, I was like, come on, let's just get one more. I'll just get one more. And then he's like, "What? You want to get, what for? Like, we could dial for another 30 minutes and you don't even get in on answer." I was like, I don't know. I just can't leave. I got to sit here. I was working till 5. Made an extra $1,500. It was like, and then I ended the week on $7,500 of commission. Just get one more. It was like I didn't even care that I'd hit a number which was I should have been satisfied with. It's just want to just get another win. Just keep pushing. Whatever you're chasing, like this level, and then you hit it, and it just becomes like, what more can you do? And they call that in sales, like that you've got to have that hunger, just never be satisfied, just want to keep improving and improving. And I think that mentality has carried over into any endeavor that I go into, any task that I go into. It's just like, I'm just wanting to just keep pushing. And there's rarely a point that I get and I go, all right, we're here. I'm going to slow down. I just want to just keep going harder.
Yeah, it's the love of growth.
Yeah.
In lots of ways. Yeah, I resonate with a lot of what you're talking about there. And like in that story, you were just saying, staying till 5. Did you make more sales in the last 45 minutes?
Yeah, I made an extra $1,500. And it wasn't in that 45 minutes. I made it within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was like just that you got to be in it to win it. You just got to make that extra call. You just got to just keep going. I don't know if you've ever seen the it's like a photo that's like to explain a concept of like two guys in a mine, and they're hitting, and just that one guy is one pick stroke away from hitting gold, and goes, "Oh, I'm gonna leave. Like I haven't found it yet." You just got to just do one more. Yeah, just do one more and find out, like, if anyone's getting close to quitting, just can you do an extra week? If you're thinking, all right, if you're ready to pack up now, what's an extra week? Just do an extra week, or do an extra month. Just keep going. It's the consistency. It's the numbers game. It usually takes just staying in it to win it. So yeah, it's just, and then once you have seen the proof in the pudding, and you've had those experiences, like just getting that extra one just by making a couple of extra calls, then it's like ingrained into you. You just know, you just can trust the process from there.
Yeah. Have you read Think and Grow Rich?
No.
Yeah. So Napoleon Hill, I would say, is probably one of the best-selling personal development books of all time. And one of the first stories is about the gold rush. And in somewhere in America, wherever it was, and he's saying, like, all these people came and rushed to this town because they found out there was gold here. They bought all this equipment, blah, blah, blah. And they worked for a couple of months. They didn't struck big, so they sold all their equipment back to the local store for a lot less than what they paid for it. And then, so what the store owner did, because he'd bought all their equipment back for cheap, he went and started mining their own old prospects. Yeah. And made absolutely a fortune. Like, I think in the book it says, they made $1 million that year, which in that money in like the 1700s or 1800s, whenever it was like billions, know? So, and the whole purpose of that story is like, they gave up right before they struck gold, which is your analogy that you just said, take that one more hit. But at the same time, there is a level of self-awareness where this is the only reason why that analogy doesn't apply, is you don't want to flog a dead horse. If you, for a prolonged period of time, are not hitting success, you have to take stock of why, either fix those things Or maybe you might realize that your particular offering isn't valuable.
Yeah.
You know, so take stock. But if you've taken stock and you realize, no, everything's lining up, just why am I not getting success? That is this like period of time where you just need to get through the initiation of the dip, because on the other side of that dip is parabolic growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you hit the nail on the head when you said self-awareness, because you have to be able to analyze and be real with yourself. And there will be times when you go, I've done, well, this was the thing, you're not going to get every sale. So in sales, if I'd asked every question right, if I'd presented it, if I'd handled every objection, sometimes the offer's just not right for that client. A solid no, or being able to walk away going, I did everything that I could, is still satisfying. And you should be able to do that. So if you get to that point and you've analyzed and you've been self-aware and you're walking away because you're not quitting, but because you've made an analytical decision and go and said, I've looked at the playing field and this just isn't right, I need to go back to the drawing board, then you can still hold your head high that you did the right thing. But if you're just getting tired and you're like, oh, it's just not working, maybe I should just do something else, that's not the right mentality to have. You need to really look at all areas. We went through a period just like that. So when we went from when I was making the jewelry in my bedroom, and I was thinking, all right, I want to take this to a national stage. I really want to compete on the market and offer much better jewelry that we can customize, do better pendants and rings. We really need to partner up with a factory, and I can just be sending them the design concepts, send them the renders and get them to produce it to all my specifications. So we did that. That was like in 2020 around June. It was called Drop X. And so we got all the stuff in, 2.5 months of work, shooting it, getting the website redone, boom, launch it. We had huge traffic on the website, almost the same amount of traffic that we get now, but the website was converting at 0.4%. And the sales just weren't clicking through. And so we had to spend the next 6 months going, like, analyzing what is wrong. Is it the product? Are people just not feeling it? Like, is it... Did I just do all this work and then people just don't want to buy what I have to offer? Or do I trust myself? Do I believe in what I've done? And I just really need to find the thing that is the changing point. And it was a multitude of things that we fixed. And then all of a sudden, ding, 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 started coming through. It was the pricing. I was charging a little bit too much. It was like $15 too much for some items. That one change, it was like, I was charging $90 for some of the pendants, and then now we do it for $59.95. And even just that number, I was thinking, all right, well, a lot of our customers are in USA, so what does it matter if I just do it for $90 flat? But that left number bias, as they call it in sales, of putting it at $59.95 instead of $60, it works. It's like,
you hear it saying all the time, like. And I definitely used this as a kid when I wanted my mum to buy me something. It's only $50.
Yeah.
Next minute it's $59.95.
Exactly. And we even tested it with $54.95 or like $64.95. It's just not as powerful. You just might as well go up to the $9. There's no point. It's like nearly $55. No one cares. They just still see like $5. They just say 50. It's like 50 something dollars. So you might as well go 59. So it was just a lot of things. We needed some things. Just information wasn't on the website about shipping times. We didn't have enough reviews because we didn't have the shipping settings timed for the reviews, and the review requests were going out before customers were getting the product, and that was causing like low reviews because they're like 1 star, don't have it yet. You're like, stop rating the product, you don't even have it. Like, don't give it a 1-star review before you even get it. So then all of a sudden, actually you can actually sync it to the shipping system, and then the email triggers after delivery, like that kind of stuff. So Yeah.
Yeah, that goes back to that stepping stone as well. But like a trap that we get caught in as business owners is seeing all the options, especially now in the world of social media where we can see and have access to everything. Every time you go on YouTube, there's a new software that is going to be game changing for you that you get an ad for.
Yeah.
Like realizing what is important to get you off the ground and doubling down on that and then building this out. Like I use the analogy of this podcast again. When I first started, as much as my perfectionism wanted me to wait until this was perfect, I just picked a date and it was in 2 days' time. I was in the studio, recorded, and then it was released 2 days after that.
Yeah.
And then because I had agreed to an episode a week from that point, I just had to take imperfect action quickly.
Yeah.
And then all that imperfect action, quote unquote, micro failures, has given me the tools I need to now make a world-class show.
Yeah.
And it's like that with everything that you're doing. Sales, for instance, you're not going to learn how to sell someone on a product before you've picked up the phone and tried to sell someone on a product. Same as e-commerce, same as absolutely everything you do that you're trying to grow to a level of mastery in. You don't get mastery by reading books. You don't get mastery by watching YouTube. You get mastery by working with your hands and your mind and doing the thing.
Yeah. No, that's, again, it's bang on, like preaching to the choir here because I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And I've had to get that self-awareness to realize that it is a negative that I need to fight against.
It's a form of procrastination.
Yeah.
In lots of ways.
Yeah. Oh, and it's so easy to convince yourself that it's a noble pursuit, but it could be better.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially when you trust yourself as well, it's like, well, no, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just that I know that by moving the logo just in that perfect spot,
I'm here now. I might as well do it.
Yeah, I'm here now. I might as well do it. I might as well spend that extra 10 minutes dodging and burning this photo to make the lighting look even softer and give it more contrast. I might as well just replace this thing in the background and skin smooth and do all this extra stuff in a photo. And then you can, and then especially because it's yours, you're like, I might as well just put in the best quality work that I can. But yeah, done is better than perfect. If you've got a deadline and it's causing you to, it's affecting your release schedule and things like that, you just got to get it done and just let other people judge it. What was the analogy I was going to say? Like, done is better than perfect is probably the best one.
Yeah.
The one that I usually say to people is like, people will ask like, how do I become what you are? How do I become a fashion influencer? How do I become like this? I just say, just start and you'll start figuring it out. So just start. Well, how did you get to where you are? Well, I just took a photo of myself. And then I looked at it and went, well, what could be better about that? And then I did it again and I did it again. So it's, you just got to just jump in and just get into whatever it is that you're thinking about doing. You'll work it out. You don't need to know what the other people that you're looking at know. They're 4 years in, they're 5 years in, they're 10 years in. You can't learn all that first. And that's also another huge thing. Like, I've been through a few different changes, like personal changes in my life that I really attribute to like the law of attraction. And it's like, people say, you manifest certain things, you put it into writing, and then it happens. My personal view on how that works is it's not a cut and dry, like I said this and then I woke up tomorrow and I changed 100 things in my life. You might change one thing, or you might make an unconscious decision that draws you to the thing that you've admitted to yourself that you want. I think it's like, change happens slowly. If you were to wake up and go, like, there was a point where I knew nothing about fitness. I did from when I was in high school, but when I left school and I joined a band, I was living quite badly. I was drinking a lot and going on tour, sleeping in a van, partying, doing whatever. And I sort of lost touch with that part of myself. And then I think I saw a TV show and I just saw this guy on there who was like a model, eating real healthy, working out. And I was like, that feels like what's inside. That feels like the lifestyle that I want to live. I didn't wake up the next day and buy a blender and get some Lululemon and get some Nike fucking whatever the running shoes are, and then get a gym membership, and then get a towel, and then buy a clear shaker, and then put fruit in water, and just wake up and try and be that person the very next day. You'll fail if you do it that way. It's small changes, and it's like you might find yourself gravitating once you've admitted that you want something and that it's a goal of yours. There'll be things that you gravitate towards. Like if you're presented with two different options, small ones. I walk up the stairs instead of the escalator because I've got legs and they work. So walk up the stairs. I started parking a little bit further from work so I could walk more. It was just little tiny things. And then I just went on YouTube and just typed in like, how do you grow muscle? And then I read it. I was like, oh, okay, I understand that concept. And then I did a couple of push-ups, and it was just like, then it was like a slow thing. I didn't try and just go to the gym and be a bodybuilder. It was little slow things. So then it becomes more organic, and it feels more true to yourself, and it feels more authentic when you eventually arrive at the end version of this change, because you didn't force it. And I think that's a big thing as well. Don't try and force it. Let it happen naturally, but just align yourself with your goals. Start moving towards it slowly. Make smaller decisions. Change one thing. Don't change 100 things. And then 6 months later, a year later, you'll look and you'll go, oh shit, I'm actually closer to that version of myself that I wanted to get to than I was when I first admitted it.
This has been a absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge, sharing your mindset with us. I'm glad, we got to connect. This is a beautiful medium to do that. I feel like we know each other quite well now. And so I appreciate you making the drive down as well. You probably spent over an hour in the car to get here.
Yeah.
Sat in traffic. Yeah. But I hope it was worth it for you.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I appreciate you bringing me on, bro.
My absolute pleasure, dude. I'm going to ask you one final question before we move into a wrap up.
Okay.
If you were to sit down and have lunch with your, let's say, what's a pivotal time in your life? Was that be your 16-year-old self? Before you started boxing, when you were in that science lab, how old were you then? Was it 14?
I'd probably go back to somewhere in my 20s.
Somewhere in your 20s,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, because it's more of a version of me that wants to be where I am now. The 16-year-old didn't even know what was going to happen. So I think it's like probably an area where you do feel like you have control of your life. That's probably a better one.
I like that. So if you go back to, your 20-year-old self, you share lunch, you get the chance to share wisdom and impart some knowledge. What would that conversation be like? What would you share? Real quick, before we wrap up the show, I want you to think back to a point in today's episode where you had that aha moment, where you got absolute certainty. You're like, I know exactly what I need to do now moving forward. And then I want you to remember how you found out about this show. Was it on someone's story? Was it a conversation with a friend maybe? Then I want you to go ahead and pay it forward. Because the way that the law of reciprocity works is that by introducing someone to something of value, they will always equate you with that value. Now, you guys know I don't run ads to this show. Everything is grown 100% organically, word of mouth. Now, if you want to play a part in the growth of this show, bigger guests, better stories, more content, and you want to gift that aha moment to more people all across the world, go ahead and pay it forward. It costs you nothing, but it could be priceless to someone who needs it.
Yeah, so I would share a lot of things. I'd give perspective on the expectation of time and when things should happen. Because I feel like in your 20s, you kind of grow up like knowing that you're going to hit 25, then you're like, oh, once I hit 25, then things should have happened by then, and then I'll figure the rest out. I'd say, no, you got plenty more time than that. Any of the things that you think that you're putting a time limit on, it's just a limitation that you've put on yourself out of insecurity, out of societal expectations that you think people aren't going to value what you have to do. Like, think, oh, if I'm going to be in a band, I've got to be famous by the time I'm 25 or I'll be old. No, 30's washed up. I loved hitting 30. 30 was a great year. And I felt like rejuvenated when I hit 30. So I definitely give perspective on that. And I'd also just really encourage myself to just keep doubling down on the things that I'm good at and passionate about. So with guitar, I was playing guitar a lot then. Don't ever give it up. Keep getting better. It's like something that you'll have with you for the rest of your life. Be open-minded. Don't be judgmental towards the things that you're not doing or to other people. That was one thing that when I hit over 25, I became more empathetic, was able to understand people's positions more, and get along with people that were completely different to me and sort of understand their life path. So those would be a couple of things that I'd hit on.
I resonate with that. Hey, I've just clicked over 25 last week, and just the changes that have happened in my life, like over the last 12 months, like I've definitely gotten rid of a lot of that frantic now nature and started to realize that, hey, we're all on this kind of journey. We're all doing the best I can to figure shit out. We all just have different levels of understanding. We're all at different parts along the journey.
Yeah.
I definitely start to realize that a lot more now.
Yeah. And enjoy the process of it. So if all you're caring about is getting to the end goal, then, and you think that you're not going to be happy until you hit it, you're on the wrong path. You should be able to, if you're doing what you love, surviving, getting along, paying your bills, then, and it's growing, love that because you're doing it. You're doing what you wanted to do. And then, yeah, it may get to like the better level. Like you might become a superstar. You might not. But if you're able to follow your own life path and make it work and enjoy the process while you're doing it, just savor that because those will be the times that you look back on. Like just recently for me, I'm able to run a business, work. I've got this great office at home. I'm able to sit there with my dog. My wife's working in the room next door. I can play my guitar when I want to have a break. Like shit's good. Like that's good. And we're on a growth path. Like I said to you earlier, I was real frugal with taking a wage from the business. I was just like, no, I've still got to hustle on the side, and I'm still in that. But it's getting closer. I'm seeing the end, not the end goal, but I'm seeing the reward getting closer. So I've just got to be 100% grateful that it's happening, and it might take another 5 years. I'll be 40. But I'm happy with that. Yeah.
40's the new 20.
Yeah. 40's the new 30. Well, I don't know. So 40 might be one of them years that I'm like, oh shit, 40.
Oh, my knee hurts
I only
now.
just got used to liking the 30s, and then now it's here already.
Yeah, like I said again, man, thank you so much for making the trip. This has been a fucking joy of a time. Thank you for being you. Thank you for coming through dripping.
Yeah, always.
Wicked dude. And for everyone at home, make sure you go and check out that coupon code. It is your website is at statement.com.au.
Statementcollective.com.
Statementcollective.com.
And Statement Collective _ on Instagram, Statement Collective on TikTok.
Get around it. That code was BTM15. Go save yourself $15 off already really high value products. So thank you, bro. And make sure you subscribe. Share this to your channel of choice. Hit 5 stars. Everything that you guys do to help spread this message. We've talked about lots of really valuable things today. And if you did get that aha moment, maybe something that he said that just really hit home for you, and you're like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do now. Pay it forward. Pay it forward to someone who needs to hear that same thing, because this is an organically grown show, and I do my best to show up every single week and provide value to you. So go ahead and pass that value on to someone you love. Appreciate it, guys. See you next week. Gangsta!
Legend. That was good, bro.
Fuck yeah, it was.
Anarchy!